There are moments in life when everything feels still. Not because nothing is happening, but because something deep within you is quietly preparing to move. You can't always see the path ahead, only the next few steps, yet every small step, taken with presence, awakens the next. What if the movement forward isn't something you chase, but something that unfolds through you when you finally trust the rhythm of your own becoming? We often think of progress as a race, a climb, a push. But true movement, the kind that transforms your life, doesn't begin with speed. It begins with stillness, a breath, a pause, a quiet turning inward, where the noise fades and you finally hear the whisper that says, "Now, it's time." This is not a journey of force. It's a dance with life where you don't control every step, but you learn to flow, to align, and to trust that as you move, the path will reveal itself. So today, we step into the rhythm of transformation. We awaken the part of you that has waited long enough to move forward, not with fear, not with doubt, but with clarity, courage, and purpose. This is the movement forward, and as you walk, your path will unfold. Chapter 1. The pause before the leap. There's a sacred silence before every great change, before the seed breaks open, before dawn touches the horizon, before a heart chooses to let go. This is the pause, that weightless moment between what was and what will be. Most people fear this pause. They call it being stuck, lost, or uncertain. But what if this stillness isn't emptiness? What if it's preparation? When nothing seems to move on the outside, life is often rearranging itself on the inside. Every still moment is a conversation between your soul and the divine, a recalibration, an invisible alignment. The pause before the leap teaches patience. It asks you to trust that just because you can't see the next chapter doesn't mean it isn't already being written. And sometimes the most powerful movement begins when you stop trying to force it. Listening to the space between moments, close your eyes. Feel the rhythm of your breath, the quiet expansion, the gentle release in that space between inhale and exhale. There's a truth that words can't hold. That's where transformation begins, not in noise or chaos, but in awareness, in stillness. You hear your intuition again. You remember what matters. You remember that you don't need to have all the answers before you begin. You just need to be willing to listen, to trust, and to take the first step. And when the stillness has done its work, when the soil has softened and the seed within, you is ready. You'll feel it, a quiet pull forward. Not rushed, not forced, but natural, like a river remembering its course after a long winter. That's when momentum begins, the gentle awakening of movement within you. Chapter 2. Momentum, the energy of becoming. Momentum is not about moving faster. It's about moving with life. When you act from alignment, not from pressure, not from fear, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to move through. You think of momentum as energy in motion, the invisible river that flows the moment you decide to begin. Even the smallest act of courage sets something vast into motion. A single word spoken in truth, a step taken in faith, a choice made from love rather than fear. Every movement, no matter how small, ripples through the universe. Because momentum isn't only about doing, it's about becoming. You're not just moving toward your future. You're becoming the kind of person who can hold it. Have you ever noticed how life seems to respond the moment you commit? Doors that were once closed begin to open, people appear. Synchronicities align like constellations guiding your way. That's not coincidence. That's energy responding to your readiness. The universe doesn't move until you do. It waits for your yes, not the half-hearted, uncertain yes, but the full-bodied, soul-aligned yes that says, "I'm ready," and when that happens, momentum builds quietly but powerfully. Like wind filling the sails of a ship, you begin to feel supported by something greater than yourself. The current carries you, not away from yourself, but deeper into who you are becoming. It may sound paradoxical, but momentum is born from stillness. The deeper your roots in presence, the stronger your movement forward. Because when your actions rise from peace, not panic, they become unstoppable. Imagine an arrow being drawn back before release. That pause, that gathering of force, creates precision. Likewise, the more grounded you are in awareness, the more natural your expansion becomes. You no longer waste energy chasing. You simply align, release, and let momentum do its quiet work. Momentum isn't something you fight for. It's something you surrender to. Once you stop resisting your own becoming, the flow returns, and in that movement, a new energy awakens. Purpose. Because what keeps you moving forward isn't willpower alone. It's the magnetic pull of something meaningful, something that calls from deep within. Chapter 3. The river within. Inside you, there's a river, silent, ancient, and unending. It knows where it's going. It has always known. And your only task is to remember how to flow with it again. Most people forget this river exists. They build walls of fear, control, expectations, and wonder why they feel dry, disconnected, lifeless. But when you remember that movement is your nature, you stop fighting the current. You start trusting it. The river within you doesn't need to be pushed. It just needs space to move. It needs permission, your permission, to carry you toward your truth. Trust is the bridge between stagnation and flow. When you trust your inner current, you don't need to see the destination. You simply listen to intuition, to synchronicity, to the quiet pull that says, this way. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work out? And start whispering, what if it does? Every choice made in trust strengthens your flow, and soon you begin to move with ease. Not because life is easy, but because you are no longer in resistance. You're no longer swimming upstream. Flow is not a straight line, it's a conversation between you and life. Sometimes it moves fast, sometimes slow, sometimes it redirects you entirely, not as punishment, but as guidance. To flow is to participate in this dialogue consciously. It's to say, I'm listening, even when you don't understand. It's to keep moving, even when the river bends in unexpected ways. That's how you stay in movement. Not by controlling the current, but by trusting it. Yet, even rivers meet resistance. Rocks, obstacles, debris, all part of the natural path. But resistance isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It shapes your strength. It deepens your flow. Chapter 4. Facing resistance and fear. Every time you step forward into something new, resistance appears. It's not a sign that you're failing. It's proof that you're growing. Fear whispers, what if you fall? Doubt murmurs, you're not ready. And yet, these voices are not your enemies. They are guardians of the threshold. They appear when you're standing at the doorway between who you've been and who you're becoming. They ask you to prove your commitment, not by fighting them, but by walking through them. Fear as a mirror, not an obstacle. Fear doesn't block your path, it reveals it. It shows you exactly where your next evolution lives. When you look at your fear directly, not as a monster, but as a messenger, it begins to soften. You realize it's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect the parts of you still learning how to trust. Every act of courage begins with one small surrender, the willingness to feel the fear and move anyway. Because fear loses its power when you walk with it, not away from it. Resistance has a sacred role. It refines your intention. It asks, how much do you really want this? It clarifies what matters. It strips away the noise, the half-hearted motives, the need for validation. When you stop seeing resistance as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, you reclaim your power. You understand that resistance isn't in your way, it is the way. And once you stop fighting the current, once you learn to move with the resistance, something beautiful happens. Your movement becomes deliberate, purposeful, guided by intention rather than impulse. Chapter 5. Alignment, moving with intention. True movement isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. When your actions are aligned with your inner truth, every step feels guided. Even the smallest motion carries power because it comes from clarity. Alignment transforms effort into ease. It's the invisible line where your inner world meets the outer world. When you move from that space, you stop asking, "Am I doing enough?" and start realizing, "I am exactly where I need to be," when you are fully present. Movement becomes meditation. You are not running ahead or looking back. You are simply here, in flow with what life is asking of you now. Presence turns mundane actions into sacred rituals, writing an email, washing a dish, taking a breath, because when done with full awareness, even the smallest acts align you with the rhythm of the universe. Every action has an energetic frequency. When done from fear, it creates friction. When done from love, it creates harmony. Intention is the vibration that shapes your results. You don't have to know how it will all unfold. You only need to align your energy with the outcome you wish to experience. That is the essence of moving with intention. Acting from the truth that your vibration precedes your manifestation. And when you move with alignment, life begins to respond differently. The path no longer feels forced, it unfolds. Chapter 6. The path unfolds as you walk. Most people wait for clarity before they act. But clarity comes from action, not before it. The path doesn't reveal itself to the one who stands still. It opens for the one who dares to move. Each step you take sends a signal to the universe. I trust, and trust, when embodied, becomes the bridge between intention and realization. The journey is not a map to follow. It's a living organism that responds to you every choice, every thought. Every breath shapes its unfolding. You are not walking on the path. You are walking with it. And this is why stagnation feels painful. Because life was never meant to stand still. It is always whispering, move, expand, become. The courage to begin again. The path is not always straight or smooth. There are detours, pauses, even setbacks. But each time you begin again with humility. With openness, the universe meets you halfway. Progress isn't perfection. It's participation. As long as you're still showing up, you're still moving forward eventually. You realize that you are no longer trying to get somewhere. You've become the movement itself, alive, awake, and expanding. Chapter 6. The path unfolds as you walk. Most people wait for clarity before they act. But clarity comes from action, not before it. The path doesn't reveal itself to the one who stands still. It opens for the one who dares to move. Each step you take sends a signal to the universe. I trust, and trust, when embodied, becomes the bridge between intention and realization. The journey is not a map to follow. It's a living organism that responds to you every choice, every thought. Every breath shapes its unfolding. You are not walking on the path. You are walking with it. And this is why stagnation feels painful. Because life was never meant to stand still. It is always whispering, move, expand, become. The courage to begin again. The path is not always straight or smooth. There are detours, pauses, even setbacks. But each time you begin again with humility. With openness, the universe meets you halfway. Progress isn't perfection. It's participation. As long as you're still showing up, you're still moving forward eventually. You realize that you are no longer trying to get somewhere. You've become the movement itself, alive, awake, and expanding. Final reminder. The infinite forward is not a direction. It's a state of being. It's the continuous unfolding of your highest expression. Moment by moment, you are not moving toward something. You are moving as something, the living embodiment of evolution itself. The more you awaken, the more you realize life has no finish line. It only expands, breath by breath, through you. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep becoming, because the Movement never ends. It simply deepens. And the further you go, the more you discover that you are never separate from the flow. You are the flow. The movement forward, flow with change, flow with life. Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions, your breakthroughs, and let us know what you'd love to hear next. Subscribe to stay connected. And if this message could uplift someone you care about, send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.